Okay, these are the notes for 8-5. You should not be using a calculator quite yet. This is your last section where you can't use a calculator, though. So good news. Okay, you can't use a calculator because we're estimating in section 8.5. We're estimating with percents, just certain percents, though. So there are some procedures up here for you that are really, really good. So for 10% or 1%, round the number so that the rounded number is easy to work with, and then estimate the percentages. So the first thing you'll do is you'll round your number, and you'll see, they'll tell you what to round it to. Here it just says, so it's easy to work with. So in other words, you can do the work in your head. That's the whole point of estimating. So if I want to estimate 10% of a number, all I do is delete the last digit. And you'll see examples in just a minute. If I want to estimate 1% of a whole number, all you do is you delete the last 2 digits. So those are the 2 biggies. The rest of these, the rest of the 4, all deal with 1 and 2. For example, if I want to estimate 5%, I find the 10% by getting rid of the last digit, and then I just take half of that because 5 is half of 10. If I want to estimate 15%, well, I find 10% by taking off the last digit, and then I add half of that, which is 5%, because 10 plus 5 is 15. If I want to estimate 20%, you just find the 10%, and then you double it, or multiply it by 2. And if you want to estimate 6%, for example, Michigan has a 6% sales tax, you add the 5% and the 1%. Because, of course, 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay, so if we look at example number 1, it says, for the number 62,030, estimate 10% and 1%. So the first thing we're going to do is round 62,030. So I'm thinking you can probably see that the best rounding would give us simply 62,000, because it's pretty darn close to 62,000. Now, again, if I want to estimate 10%, all you do is you chop off the last digit. So 10% of 62,000 would be 6,200. And then if I want to estimate 1%, you just chop off the last 2 digits. If I chop off the last 2 digits, you can see I'm going to get 620. And that's all there is to it. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's do number 2. So it says for the number 2,205, and I don't know, let's estimate that. We could go 2,000, but let's estimate it at 2,200. And again, it's an estimate, so it really doesn't matter what you round to. So it says estimate 5%. Well, remember, you have to estimate 10% and 1% to do all of the other ones. So let's first estimate 10% of 2,200, which again literally means you take off the last digit. So that would be 220. Then let's estimate 1%. Take off the last 2 digits, and that's going to be 22. Now we'll use these to find the other percents that they ask me for. So they want us to find 5%. Well, 5% is half of 10%. So it is 220 divided by 2, which is 110. 15% is 10% plus 5%, which is 220 plus 110, so that's 330. And finally, 6% is 5% plus 1%. So the 5% was 110. and the 1% was 22. And if I add those together, I get 132. So you have to find the 10% and the 1% before you do anything else. And then you use those to find all of your other percents. Okay, so now that we know how to estimate percents, let's put them in some story problems as we look at page 2 of these notes. So it says Troy would like to leave a 20% tip for the server. If the total bill at the restaurant was $29.62, estimate the tip that he should leave. So let's first round $29.62. I think we can all agree that that's really close to 30. So you can picture you using this in a restaurant. So now if I want a 20% tip, well, remember 20% is just 2 times 10%. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my 10%. Again, to find the 10%, you just chop off the last number. So my 10% is 3. Oops, not 3%, is $3. And then I just simply multiply that by 2. So the tip that Troy should leave is $6. So we found the 10%, which is just chopping off the 0, and then we multiplied that by 2. All right, let's do number 4. So a local store has a rack of clothing on sale for 40% off. The discount is calculated at the register at the time of purchase. Laura buys 2 pairs of pants, priced at $29.95, 1 shirt, which is $21.95, and a jacket that was $85. Zoom out a little bit. So the first thing it asks us to do is round each of the original prices to the nearest 10, and then estimate the total cost before the discount. So we need each of the original prices. We're going to round to the nearest 10. So this is going to be 30. $21.95. Now if I round this to the nearest 10, remember this is the tens place. What does that 1 do to the 2? It doesn't do anything, so this is approximately $20. And 85, if I round to the nearest 10, now technically it's right in the middle, but with the rounding rules, if I go 1 to the right, what does that 5 do to that 8? It makes it a 9. So there are your prices to the nearest 10. Now, so we've done this. Now estimate the total cost of the items before the discount. Well, remember she buys 2 pairs of pants. So that would be 2 times 30, which is $60. And then she buys a shirt, and then she buys a jacket. So if I add those all up, I'm going to get $170. And that's my estimate. Now it says estimate the amount of the 40% discount. Round the discount to the nearest 10. So if I'm going to estimate a 40% discount, now 40% isn't one of the percents that we looked at, but I think we can figure it out. Wouldn't 40% just be 4 times the 10%? So I think that would be an easy way to do it. Okay, so if I take 170 and if I find 10%, 10%, chop off the last digit, so that would be $17. And then I'm going to multiply that by 4. So that's 20, that's going to be $68. So there's an estimate of the discount of 40%. Then it says round the discount to the nearest 10. So here's my discount. If I round to the nearest 10, what is the 8 due to the 6? Well, it makes it a 7. So the discount is approximately $70. So again, This is the total cost, rounded, of course, estimated, and this is the discount. Estimate the total cost of the items after the discount is taken. Well, if the original cost was $170 and the discount is $70, then the total cost is going to be about $100. And there you go. By the time you're done with the homework, you should have probably memorized how to find all of those percents. And that is it for section 8.5.